In this video, I'm going to show you how to back up your digital Wii titles, and as an added bonus on how to extract Virtual Console games to use on different emulators. With the Nintendo Wii pushing 20 years old and its eShop being long dead, chances are you've thought about backing up your digital titles so that way you can use them either in emulation on Dolphin, or to install your games onto another Wii if your current one happens to die. Or perhaps you've thought about taking your Virtual Console games and using them in different emulators. With the hacked Wii, these options are mostly easily done. Thanks to homebrew apps, you are easily able to dump your digital titles on a Wii or the Wii U vWii into a WAD format that you could then use on the Dolphin Emulator or install onto different Wii systems. Using a Wii NAND dump, you're also able to dump your Virtual Console games into a usable ROM format for different emulators. It is also possible to manually extract WAD files, but that is a bit more complicated, and I'm sorry to say I'm not really going to go into most depth with Neo Geo or TurboGrafx 16 stuff on that process, but for NES, Sega Master System, Genesis, Super Nintendo, N64, I've got you covered. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, we're going to download yet another Blue Dump mod created by Nick Sasa. So this works on original Wii's and vWii, so just click on the download link and grab the yet another bluemod.zip file here at the top, just download. And links to this will be in the description below. Once downloaded, get it extracted. And that'll leave us with an apps folder with yet another Blue Dump mod folder inside that we can add to our Wii's app folders. So if you're using USB or SD, go ahead and get that inserted now so we can add the app to it. I'm using SD for my apps, so just getting my SD card put in. And here we go, open up the apps folder, and I'm gonna put yet another Blue Dump mod right inside the apps folder. And that is now good to go. So go ahead and get that SD card or USB drive put back into your Wii, and we're ready to begin. Alright, so once you have your Wii or vWii loaded up, you're able to dump any of the apps that you have installed, whether they are on the main system menu themselves, so we have a bunch of Virtual Console games here, as well as from the SD card. So if you have a ton of Wii Ware and Virtual Console games and you had to use the SD card menu, you are able to dump those directly from the SD card. You don't have to do any file transfers. It's awesome. So just go ahead and load up into the homebrew channel. And once loaded, go down to yet another Blue Dump mod and load it up. Once it has loaded up, go ahead and press A for full hardware access. And once it is finished loading, you'll see that you can use either the SD card or USB drive if you have them formatted into FAT32. So go ahead and press A if you want to dump things to the SD card, or B if you want to use USB. I'm going to be using USB here, so I pressed B. We're going to start by dumping the titles that are on our Wii system menu itself. So head down to the Installed Channels Titles option here and press A. And it will show you a list of everything that is currently installed on your Wii system menu. So we can see all of our Virtual Console and WiiWare games here, as well as any forwarders that might have been installed. So you can see like Homebrew Channel, USB Loader here. Now to begin dumping your digital titles, go ahead and press 1 on a Wiimote or Y on a GameCube controller, and that'll bring you into the backup menu. So just press right on the D-pad to go to backup to WAD, and when it asks you if you want to fake sign the ticket, press A for yes, and then it'll ask you if you want to fake sign the TMD, press B, and then it'll ask you if you want to change the region, press B. And it will create your WAD that you can then use on Dolphin Emulator or install to other Wii systems. And once finished, you'll be brought to a menu that says press any button to go back to the main menu. So just press any button. And back on the main menu, just continue down your list. Press 1, back up to WAD, A for yes to fake signing the ticket, and then B twice. and then any button to continue. And again, just do this for all of the digital content that you wish to back up. And once you've completed dumping everything installed on the system menu, we can begin backing up things stored on the SD card. So just press the plus button on your Wii remote or the R button on a GameCube controller, and it will read the contents on your SD card and display them for you here. So as you can see, we have all of our extra Virtual Console games that were stored on my SD card here. Now to begin backing up these titles, press A, and then the same process. A on fake signing the ticket, B for the TMD, and B for region changing. And just wait for it to do its thing. And once finished, press any button to go back to the menu and continue down the list doing the same thing. So again, A for fake sign, B for TMD, and B for region changing. So now just go through your list and back everything up. And once you finish backing everything up, you can simply power down your Wii system and take the storage device you chose to back your games up into out and hook it up to a computing device. So now over on your computing device with the storage device entered, you should see yet another Blue Dump mod folder, and inside that is a WAD folder that contains everything that you have backed up. So as you can see, I've backed up quite a few things here, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy the WAD folder over to my desktop. And there we go, it's all copied over. But now you can verify that these WAD files actually work in emulation just by dragging them into the Dolphin Emulator. So for example, here's Defend Your Castle. And it loads right up. And here we are playing Defend Your Castle. I have my Wii mode just set to my mouse right now, but we could just play the game as intended. So this WiiWare game is working perfectly. And again, you can verify the Virtual Console games work as well with the same process. Just drag them in, have your controller set, and it should load right up. And so here we are, Mega Man Virtual Console version running on the Dolphin Emulator. Perfect. Now, if you'd like to use these WADs that you have dumped from your Wii and install them on another Wii, the process is actually pretty straightforward as well. So just open up your WAD folder that you have them all in. Get the SD card or USB hard drive for another Wii hooked up to your computing device. So for me, again, I'm going to be using an SD card. So inside your SD card, just make another folder named WADs, or you could just copy the one you already have over. It doesn't really matter, but then you could just begin copying over games that you want to install on your second Wii. So we're just going to copy everything over. I said copy everything over. Thank you. So just wait for all of them to copy over to your SD card or USB hard drive. And with all the WADs in place, let's go ahead and get an app that will install WADs for us. So if you hacked your Wii using the guide that I created, chances are you might have yet another WAD Manager ModMe edition, which is a good one to have. If you've deleted it, that's okay. Link in the description below will bring you to the download page for it. So if you don't have it, just go ahead and download it. Once downloaded, get it extracted. And inside you'll find the apps folder and then the Yummy folder. So inside your SD card or USB drive, apps folder. Go ahead and get it added in. And with everything in place, just go ahead and get your drive hooked back up to your Wii and get it powered on. Alright, so as you can see, this Wii is very bare bones. It only has Mega Man X2 installed on it currently, as well as being homebrew enabled, which means we can install everything else to it. Anyway, go ahead and load up into the homebrew channel. And then go through all of your homebrew apps until you find yet another WAD Manager ModMe edition and go ahead and launch it. Now go ahead and select the drive that you stored your WADs in, so that could be either the Wii SD card slot or a USB hard drive. I don't have a USB drive hooked up to this one right now, so I'm just going to press A on the SD card slot. And then navigate down to your WADs folder, press A, and you will see all of The WADs you have in that folder are listed here, and you could begin installing them just by pressing A on them, or you could queue multiple installs by pressing the plus button on a Wii remote. Now, do be aware that the Wii does have that 512 megabyte limit on installs, so you will need to just go through them and install just a few at a time, move them over to the SD card, and come back in and install more. So we're going to go with that. That should be just about right. And we're going to tell them to install. And once the install of the currently selected titles is finished, just press any button to continue. Now press your home menu to restart the Wii. And this should bring you back to the homebrew menu, but go ahead and exit to the system menu. And you'll now see all of your newly installed WADs right here on the system menu. And again, if you have more than will actually fit on the Wii, you can just head into the Wii options, data management, channels, and you can begin moving things over to the SD card. Except that it hates my SD card, so I guess that's where we're going to call it for this one. But anyway, move all your channels over to the SD card, go back in and install more WADs, and enjoy. But you can verify things working as intended by, once again, just loading something up. But there we are, Mario Kart 64 installed from my other Wii to this one, so process worked exactly as intended. Now, for anyone interested in just extracting ROMs from their Virtual Console games to use on different emulators and devices, you can use your currently extracted WADs and extract Virtual Console ROMs from it, but to have an easier time and to back up saves or anything like that and to easily convert troublesome games into proper formats, I'd recommend doing a NAND dump and using a Python script to extract everything for you. Makes everything nice and easy, and gets you usable format for almost all the games. So we're going to need the latest version of Python, link in the description. And we'll go ahead and get it installed, and make sure if you're on Windows to add Python to path. Now, if you've installed any Neo Geo games from the Wii shop, you're going to need to install a cryptography add-on to Python. And to do so is really easy. You just need to copy this command right here into your command prompt window and press enter. And then just wait for it to do its thing. And once finished, you can close out a command prompt for now. Next, we're going to grab VC-ROM claim. This is a fork of the original VC-ROM claim to work on Python 3, and it has a lot more options available for it. But on the GitHub page, again, link in the description below, just click on the code button here and download zip. Next, we're going to download Show Me WADs mod version 1.5.2.zip. So link to this in the description below. It'll bring you to this page. Just click on download raw file right here. Get Show Me WADs and VC-ROM claim master.zip extracted. So here we go. Go extract both of those in their own folder. Perfect. So now we are going to go ahead and make a NAND dump of our Wii. If you have any games stored to your SD card menu, you are going to have to copy those to the system menu and perform a second NAND dump with it. So it is more time consuming than just doing it yourself, but in the end, it's a lot more foolproof. We're going to go ahead and load up the homebrew channel and get booted into BootMe. So once the homebrew channel is loaded up, press the home button, launch BootMe. Now from here, press the power button until you get to the little gear icon, and then press the reset button. And now press the reset button again on the green arrow pointing to the SD card. And it will create a NAND dump for you with all of your currently installed Virtual Console titles that are on the system menu. So just wait the 8 or so minutes for it to do its thing. Once the NAND dump is completed, just go ahead and press any button on the front of your Wii. And now just press the power button to go over to the back arrow, and then you can press the reset button on the Wii channel, the Wii home menu. Now just go ahead and power the Wii off, pop out that SD card and put it into your computer. Alright, so now over at the computer, just go ahead and get your NAND and keys copied over to your desktop. Now with these copied over to your desktop, go ahead and open up Show Me WAD's x64 version. Now under Tools, extract boot me dump, and then go ahead and navigate to the directory where you have it stored. So we had ours on the desktop. And then we're going to tell it to extract to a directory. So I'm going to also put this on the desktop. Going to make a new folder. So press start and wait for it to do its thing. And done. But now we can go ahead and close out of Show Me WADs. And I'm just going to rename this new folder NAND. And now I'm just going to add it into the VC ROM claim master folder here. There we go. Now it is worth mentioning that if you are trying to get ROMs from a bunch of dumped WADs, chances are it isn't actually going to work. And I'll show you what I mean here. So go ahead and load up Show Me WADs once again. Change NAND backup path. We'll open up that NAND folder we're using for this example. And if you look at the contents, you'll see that the type is set to channel title for a lot of these virtual console games that we dumped. And that makes it so that this automatic program can't extract them automatically. It will only give you the ones that are actually classified correctly. So again, in this NAND backup, it's not able to get hardly anything out of this except for a couple things like Metal Slug 3. So if you've installed WADs to your system that you're hoping to get ROMs out of, the automatic process isn't going to work for you. But anyway, you can still go ahead and try it. Open backup command prompt here, change our working directory over to our folder. Change our working directory over to the VC ROM claim master folder here. So we just do CD, drag over a folder for us to easily get it. No, dang it. There we go. And now type in Python space Wii metadata.py space and then the path to our NAND. And then it will go ahead and decrypt and extract any of the ROMs it can detect in that dump if you had installed WADs. I'll show you a better example in just a moment. Alright, so there we go. Like I showed, it was only able to get Metal Slug 3 out of that NAND dump, which is what I expected and what we saw with Show Me WADs. So for a better example, here is my original NAND dump from my Nintendo Wii that we bought in 2007, right before I transferred it up to the Wii U. So I made a NAND dump just in case I ever wanted to restore it to the original Wii. It doesn't have all my purchases on it, but it's got near full storage capacity, so it'll be a good example for this one. But I'm going to go ahead and add it to the same directory here. So back in our command prompt, I'm just going to press up on my keyboard because that brings up the last use command. I'm going to delete the NAND folder and I'm going to replace it with my OG NAND folder. And now it's going through and finding a bunch of my Virtual Console games. And there we go. All of the Virtual Console games on that NAND backup as it was back when is now complete. So when you finish this process, you're going to be left with the different folders for various systems. And inside, you will just have a subfolder with a workable game ROM inside of it. Now, if you have just installed a bunch of WAD files, you don't have the original system that you bought these games with, and they're not going to extract using that method, you can still just manually extract each WAD if desired. It's going to require more work on your part, but it is doable. So if you plan on extracting your WADs manually, we're going to need a couple of extra things, the first of which being the NES ROM extractor. So download this, link in the description below. We're also going to need CCF tools. I got it from romhacking.net, so link to this will be in the description below. And we will need ROMchew06, so you just need to put this URL into your web browser and it should automatically download it, and this will be in the description below as well. We're also going to need the ROMC Type 1 decompressor, and link to this will be in the description below as well. So there's two types of compressions that can be on N64 ROMs, so we need ROMchew and this one. And as for Super Nintendo games, when they're extracted, they actually have two parts to them, so we're actually going to be using this SNES restore Python script that's in the VC ROM claim to help us out with that one. But anyway, so to get started, go ahead and open up Show Me WADs once again. Once it's open, click on View, go to Show Me WADs. Mine's already populated because I already pulled this in, but anyway, it's easy to populate this list. Just go ahead and grab your WAD folder and drag it in. And now go ahead and select all of your Virtual Console games. Can I get rid of Defend Your Castle, Final Fantasy for the after years here? We don't need those. But right-click on them, extract to folder. We're going to go ahead and make a new folder. And then just wait for the progress bar to finish down here. And once completed, you will now be left with extracted WADs of all your Virtual Console titles in their own subfolders. So depending on the system you're doing, it's going to be a bit different on what happens next. So for NES games, we'll start with NES. We're going to need to extract the NES ROM extractor. And from here, we're going to drag the 000000001.app file into that folder. And you're going to want to do this one at a time. Now we're going to open up a command prompt window once again. Yes, lots of command prompt today. But we're going to change our working directory over to this folder, just like we did with our VC ROM claim. So cd, drag a file over to it so it gives you the file path, and then delete the file from the end. There we go. Now type in NES _ROM _extract space, and then drag the 0001 file in and press enter. And it will identify the ROM and extract it into its own NES file here. Now you just need to rename it after the game in question. So this one is Mega Man. Bam, that NES game is done. So let's move on to the next NES game here, Mega Man 2. So same process, just going to drag that one.app over. Going to replace the current one there. And now I can easily just press up on my keyboard to extract Mega Man 2. So there it is, my NES app for Mega Man 2. So I'm just going to rename it once again. Going to delete it from my working folder. Now same deal with Mega Man 3. Alright, Mega Man 3 is now extracted. Alright, and so that is all of my NES games, I believe. So we could just grab all of these. And I'm going to add them to the NES folder that I had earlier from the automatic process. Just for safekeeping for the moment. Now there is one exception to this. This program does not work with Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. And so for this game in particular, we're going to be using another Python script from our previous VC ROM claim folder. So we're just going to open this one up. We're going to drag the 0001 app into VC ROM claim. We're going to change the directory to our VC ROM claim folder. And now we're going to do Python space. And now we're going to do NES extract.py. And now we're going to drag in the 0001 app. And now we're going to give it a file name. So we're just going to name it Okay, so there we go. Super Mario Bros. Lost.nes.fts. It's actually a Famicom Disk System game, so there we go. We don't need that NES extension. My bad. Regardless, there we go. Next, we'll move over to manually extracting N64 games. And for this one, we're going to be using Show Me WADs. So open back up Show Me WADs here under Tools. Click on Unpack U8 Archive. Now navigate to the folder where you have the games stored in. So again, I had mine in Show Me WADs under a new folder. But we're just going to go through and do our N64 games. So F0X. And for N64 games, we are extracting the 0000005.app. So click on that, click on Open, and then just press OK, and it'll create a subfolder within that games folder right here. So opening that up, you will find a file named just ROM, or it'll be named ROM-C, and depending on if it has ROM-C, that's when we're going to use ROM-chew. But if it just says ROM, this game is good to go. You could just rename it. And then you could test it in your emulator and see if it boots up. So there we go. There is F0X. Just going to get it out of that folder. So, got that one done. Just going to delete the folder so I don't do it again. But now, same deal with another game. So we're going to unpack. We're going to head down to Mario Kart 64, grab the 5.app, press OK. It'll create that subfolder for us. And now find the ROM file, rename it. And give it an extension of .z64. Load it up to make sure. And done. Now let's do it again, but this time we're going to choose one that I know is compressed. So we're going to go into the Show Me WADs folder, new folder, and we're going to grab Majora's Mask. So we're going to extract the 5.app, just like we did before. And now inside of the output folder that it gave us, the ROM is now listed as ROM-C, which means it's compressed. It's not going to work in an emulator by default. So now we need to come up here and extract ROM-chew. Open up the ROM-chew folder. Drag your ROM-C game in to the ROM-chew folder. And now we're going to need to use command prompt once again. So just go ahead and get that open back up. Change the working directory over to your ROM-chew folder. So again, easiest way is just to drag a file in and then delete the file name down to the slash to get to that directory. But now we're going to type in ROM-chew space ROM-C space, and now type in an output name. So we're just going to go Majora.n64. And that has now extracted the ROM file for us into a usable ROM. And we could try to rename this extension to Z64, see if that works, but anyway, let's go ahead and try it out. And there it is, Majora's Mask. So as you go through your N64 games, you may notice in ROM-chew you get an error where it expected type 2, but it got type 1. This is where that ROM-C extractor comes into play. So for me, it is Paper Mario and Pokemon Puzzle League do not work with ROM-chew, everything else did. So now I'm just going to switch over to the other decompressor here. So we're going to extract ROM-C. And we're going to change our working directory over to this folder instead. There we go. So now process is pretty much the same from this point on. So we're going to grab our ROM-C file, move it over to this ROM-C working directory, and now we're going to type in ROM-C.exe space ROM-C space paper.z64. Apologies, I missed a step here. We need to do space D, then space ROM-C, then our output file. So there we go. So now we have papermario.z64 ready to go. So now we'll just go ahead and do the same thing for Pokemon Puzzle League. Grab the ROM C file. We'll overwrite this one. And so now we'll press up to go to that last command. And again, it's romc.exe space D space romc space your output file name .z64. There we go. And with that, I am now finished with my N64 ROM extractions from my Virtual Console games. Alright, let's move on to Sega Master System and Sega Genesis. The process is pretty much the same for both of these ones. So we're going to use Show Me WADs once again. Tools, Unpack U8 Archive. We're going to grab Phantasy Star for Sega Master System first. We're going to extract the 0000005.app again. Press OK, it'll make a subfolder of itself. And inside you'll see a data.ccf file. So we're going to extract the ccfex.tar.bz2 folder here. We're going to have to extract this a few times. It's actually kind of annoying. You go in that folder and hey, guess what? You get to extract it again. And inside you'll finally get a ccfex folder. So we're just going to drag that to the desktop so we don't have to do a million subfolders here. Screw you, folder. Goodbye. Alright, but anyway, open up the ccfex folder here. And this one's really nice to us. All we have to do is drag the data.ccf file onto ccfex.exe. And it will extract all of the contents in there for us. And there is our Phantasy Star Sega Master System ROM. So bam, it is completed. So now we're going to do the same thing for Sega Genesis games. So we'll go into Tools and Show Me WADs, Unpack U8 Archive. Navigate to where your Sega Genesis games are stored. So we're going to grab Phantasy Star 2, extract the 5.app, press OK. Open up the Phantasy Star 2 folder, go to that extracted folder. There's data.ccf. And again, we're just going to drag it right onto ccfex. All right, and here's our Phantasy Star 2 ROM here. So we could just rename this. Give it an extension of .gen or .bin. And now just do the same process for the rest of your Genesis games. And as you go through the process, you may notice that some of the games have different extensions to them. That's all right. You can just rename them to .gen. So for example, Phantasy Star 3 .gen. And there we go. But now on to Super Nintendo games. So process is fairly similar to Genesis. You head up to Tools, Unpack U8 Archive, navigate to where you have the extracted WAD folder. So we're going to start with Donkey Kong Country 2 here, but you're going to extract the 000000005.app. Press OK so it goes into its own subfolder. And inside that extracted folder, you're going to see a ROM file and a PCM file. Yes, they have split the audio from the ROM for these games, so if you were to try to load them up in an emulator, correction, we need to rename the extension before I could do this demo, sorry. But let's just do that real quick. So if we're to try to load this up, you'll see that it does load up, but unfortunately there is absolutely no audio, which is less than ideal for some of the great soundtracks that Super Nintendo games had, let me tell you. But that's all right. So let me just rename this back to ROM real quick. There we go. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how to fix this. So going back into our VC-ROM claim master folder here, there is an SNES restore Python script. So open up command prompt. Change your working directory back over to VC-ROM claim. There we go. So now we're going to type in Python space SNES restore.py space. And now we are going to drag in our ROM file, space, our PCM file, space, and then just drag another file in real quick. Delete that one, and then we can rename it something like so. And there we go. Now we have a new Donkey Kong Country 2 SFC file that has restored the ROM with its audio. So again, load up an emulator that you could test on. And the audio is now there. I know I have the audio muted for you guys, but the audio is now working, so this is fantastic. Working exactly as intended. So now we can just pull this ROM aside, rename it whatever we want. There we go. And we'll go through and do the same thing with the rest of our Super Nintendo games. So I already extracted Street Fighter 2 Turbo by accident because I thought it was the Genesis version, but it wasn't. So we'll go over that process one more time. So again, we're going to have our working directory be where that Python script is. We're going to type in Python space SNES restore.py space, drag the ROM file in, space, drag the PCM file in, space, and then just grab any other file and replace it with what you want to name the ROM. So dkc3.sfc, or no, this is Street Fighter. Okay, so Street Fighter.sfc. And then we'll just wait for it to do its thing. And there we go. There is our Street Fighter 2 ROM. With restored audio. Now that just leaves me with TurboGrafx 16 and Neo Geo. I'm not going to cover Neo Geo. It's got a lot more nonsense to it. And for TurboGrafx 16, there's actually two things that can happen with this. If it was a HuCard game, it's actually really simple. You just extract the 00005 app like you've seen before, open up the folder. And somewhere inside will be a .pce extension file, and that is your game ROM. But if the game is a TurboGrafx 16 CD or a PC Engine CD game, it's going to be in a very compressed / encrypted format. And it is quite an involved process to get this to work. So I'm going to direct you to this Reddit thread where it goes over the process of how to get Rondo of Blood specifically to work if you are interested in that. There's a lot more troubleshooting involved in this, and I just don't want to go through the headache. Apologies, but this link will be down in the description below if you want to follow it. One more nice thing about the TurboGrafx CD games is that it does give you a Super System 3 BIOS file, so if you don't have one of those for your emulator, it's a really easy way to get one. And there you have it, a way to preserve all of your digital Wii titles to use in emulation, other systems, or to get ROM files to use any way you desire. The Wii was home to a massive digital library, and now you don't need to worry about losing yours. But thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have found it informative, and it helps you keep your Wii games alive well into the future. Here at the end, the usual favors. Please hit that thumbs up, thumbs down button, depending on how much you like today's tutorial, as well as that sub button and notification bell, so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. For anyone interested in further helping support the channel, please check out that Patreon link in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, or that join button here on YouTube, as any little bit helps keep this place running. Massive shout out to all of our current backers. We could not do this without you. Thank you again for believing in us and helping us keep it going. Just champs. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we will see you back next video.